y'all up to see here. So I'll start out pointing out who fulfilled the scripture of the 666 and how he fulfilled it. Well, the first verse on 666, man, it says he comes from the sea. The guy was wounded at sea in a very dramatic fashion, rescued someone to an island. The first verse on 666, man, says he comes from the sea. And then, while he's on the island, the rest of his, whatever you call it, group, his military group, presumed that he passed on, so to speak, or died. But then I'm not exactly telling the story, some of the canoe or something came across them on the island and took them to the military base. And they were so amazed that he was alive that he was presumed dead. So that's fulfilling the group, correlating with the Bible. He was healed from his deadly wound. Basically, when he showed up on the military base after presumed dead, they were amazed that he showed up. Symbolic of he was healed from his deadly wound. But it says he brings fire from the sky. Well, he was very much involved in the space program, and fire from the sky representing the rockets on fire. So it says he brings fire from the sky also. So that represents it. The rockets with fire. It says he was able to make war with him. Cuban Missile Crisis, most famous nuclear incident besides the actual dropping of the bombs, the Cuban Missile Crisis. But it was very serious about whether Russia was going to go to war against America. But Russia backed off in the end. Thus fulfilling the scripture, who was able to make war with him, the most famous nuclear incident besides nuclear bombs. So who was able to make war with him, and it was very serious between Russia and America, almost going to war. And then Russia backed off, fulfilling the scripture, who was able to make war with him. So it doesn't say a whole lot about the Antichrist, but he could have fulfilled them all. But I know my signs. So hopefully you don't think I'm an Antichrist, because the guy fulfilled them, and Hitler and him were the beast and false prophet. But anyway, here's some signs. Okay, I got signs around black and white. I built a shack in the park across the street from the White House. And then I'm walking down the street around the same time I built the shack. And I just happened to look around and notice a can of paint in an alley. So I went back there and got the can of paint. Turned out to be black paint. But anyway, I painted the shack that was across the street in the park in front of the White House. I painted my shack black. So, black. I had no clue that I was making a racial statement at the time. I didn't realize it until years later. But I painted my shack black, White House, black shed. So that's one sign around black and white. Painted my shack black and in the park across the street from the White House, White House, black shed. But anyway, my sister's birthday sometimes falls on Martin Luther King Day, and I figured out when I paint pictures in black and white, they turn out so much better than when I used to paint them without painting them in black and white. And I got two ribbons I wanted my painting at the State Fair, 2 first place ribbons from one of my paintings at the State Fair, in the whole state. But anyway, I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, biggest city ever named after Abraham Lincoln. I guess it may be the only city named after Abraham Lincoln. I'm not sure about that. But once in the same apartment, actually, a ways back, someone was going to get change. One asked me if I had 5 ones for a $5 bill. And somehow he dropped his $5 bill and it landed standing up. And it was just standing up until he picked it off the ground. And another time, it's like, I'm thinking this van has got racial stickers and stuff on it. But so for first time I've seen that here. But anyway, I noticed the stickers and stuff, thinking I'm seeing racial stickers. And what do I see? About 10 feet, about direct parallel from the corridor, is a $5 bill sitting on the ground. So I went and picked it up and kind of held it out, hoping they'd see it. But anyway, my sister worked in Africa twice, trying to get people. I don't know what exactly kind of drug, but it's important medicine to have. And me and my sister both went to school in Harlem District, about the only white ones in the school. I had about 4,500 people. And I went to a school in Flatbush, Brooklyn. Years later, the show comes out called Flatbush. So I believe that's all. Most signs are all signs I have around black and white. Now all signs around Indians. I ended up having to pick with another guy, pick sticker bushes. I have a buffalo herd here in Lincoln, Nebraska, at Pioneer Park Zoo, which is almost unheard of. People in Lincoln, Nebraska, or any city, but end up picking the sticker bushes. I have a buffalo herd, which actually was dangerous. There's a lot of buffaloes within stampede range, nothing in between us. But anyway, you know, white man killed the buffaloes. That's a sign around buffaloes. Anyway, another time, we were driving home from my grandma's on 4th of July, and there's this car parked alongside the road and a lady outside of it. But it turned out she had hit a cow, and her car was just totally smashed. And we never did find the cow, but her car was just totally smashed from the cow she hit. But anyway, you know, cattle have something to do with global warming. So we got to help the Indians, you know, according to one account, they killed the buffaloes to starve the Indians. But anyway, you know, cows have something to do with global warming. And we may have to kill the cattle off like we killed the buffalo to prevent global warming. Another time, my dad and my brothers, we were camping out in New Mexico. We're camping out in New Mexico. And there was a big drought. There was a big drought, and the Indians said they were going to do a rain dance. And they did a rain dance, and it started raining. Another time, I was about the only one in school with the Indian friend, because he's about the only Indian person in school. Teacher thought it was so special in another. She didn't teach our class. She's in another class. She thought it so special that she took me and my Indian friend to a powwow. And another time, there's cows blocking our road, escaping from their pen. They were blocking the road. We were stuck waiting for the cows because they were all around the road because they broke the fence. But anyway, we gotta help the Indians and the blacks get money. That's not money. We've lived in what you could say is the most rarest island in the world, even called the Oasis of New York City, and the hidden gem in New York City, Roosevelt Island. But anyway, there was no poverty on that island, so virtually no crime. But anyway, so we're trying to get black people and Indian people money, and that's one sign living on Roosevelt Island. But while living on Roosevelt Island, there's also an article at Roosevelt Island described the Oasis of New York City and the hidden gem in New York City. But anyway, my stepmother worked at the World Trade Center, financial hub of the world, living in the biggest city, New York City, called the finance capital of the world. But we're living in an oasis in New York City, Roosevelt Island, called the Hidden Gem. My stepmother working there at World Trade Center of the finance hub of the world, living in New York City, the financial capital of the world. But anyway, signs around money get Indian people and black people money. But anyway, got signs around weed, evidently. The Bible says to grow before the dinner plant. But me and my grandma and mother went to Boston. My sister took us to a championship Boston Celtics game. On their floor, they have an emblem of a man with a pipe sticking out of his mouth. But my grandma ended up getting pieces of the Boston Celtics floor at that game. But anyway, the emblem is a guy sticking with a pipe sticking out of his mouth. Bible says shall go before us dinner plant. Another time, I was going to go on a date with a lady to a concert, to members of Leonard Skinner performing together after the crash. But anyway, they canceled the concert. Anyway, they canceled the concert she was going to go with me to. But anyway, who should she end up going with? This disc jockey who had a comedy show in Omaha, Nebraska. I guess that's just Omaha. But his stage name, or we call it for the radio show, was Diver Dan Doobie. Diver Dan Doobie was his radio program name. But anyway, Paul McCartney got arrested for having marijuana in Tokyo. Years later, my brother had these real fancy cigarettes and everybody wanted them, so the cops pulled him over, wondering what was going on. But they put him in jail in Tokyo, but he didn't have marijuana. They tested his cigarettes, that were fancy cigarettes, and they tested that they weren't marijuana, so they let him go from Tokyo jail. I figured out the drug in the Garden of Eden. I mean, the plant in the Garden of Eden, tree in the Garden of Eden was the drug. I don't know what drug, but the tree in the Garden of Eden was the drug. So anyway, I brought more drugs than Hoover and Superco together to point out that the tree in the Garden of Eden was a drug. I don't know what drug, but I think it's supposed to be legalized marijuana, but all the other drugs, don't get in bad habits for them, living habits or anything. Okay, now signs around 9/11. Next, there's a proverb that says the day the towers fall, the day of greatest slaughter. But next to that, it says the cattle shall eat clean provender. In the verse next to the day the towers fall, the day of greatest slaughter, it says the cow shall eat clean provender. My great grandfather was kind of famous in the area for being the first one to put cement down for his cattle, so cattle didn't get disease and stuff. But anyway, another thing, my dad and mom got in a state fair accident on an airplane ride. The chain broke on the ride they were on, and the airplane on the ride went crashing to the ground. They both could very easily lost their lives. They're both in very critical bad case shape. But anyway, I went to Poster Winter's funeral later on that day. I heard they had a plane crash, and one of the titles of Leonard Skinner's album is something like "One More Front for the Road," something like that. So I said, "What is this guy on 9/11?" But anyway, one more front for the road, the war, and then the very first Veterans Day after 9/11, a passenger plane, hell of a lot of lost life, maybe in the 300 area, crashed in the Queensboro part of New York City, and it was on Veterans Day, very first Veterans Day after 9/11 in New York City. Also, a humongous lost life passenger plane crashed in New York City, Queensboro, on first Veterans Day after 9/11. But anyway, I got songs from the Beatles too. I was born to my perfect dad's birthday. John has a boy born on his birthday. John has an album called Shaved Fish. I have a fish aquarium invention, copyright approved, United States copyright. Make easy to clean decorated fish aquarium bottoms or disposable decorated fish aquarium bottoms. And I dated a girl whose apartment building was next door to John's apartment building, the one he got shot in front of before he got shot. But anyway, I dated a girl whose apartment building was next to the John's apartment building, Dakota building. And where I'm living here in Lincoln, Nebraska, at a boarding house, a guy that used to live here had a song published by Guns N' Roses called Yesterdays. But he wrote the song, the guy who used to live here, called Yesterdays. Guns N' Roses singing a song called Yesterdays that, according to him anyway, he wrote that song, and Guns N' Roses published it, recorded it. I think it's on the Great Sales album called Yesterdays. The Beatles have a song called Yesterday. But anyway,